sound this time? Check. Not that one. Yes, we have sound. Right. Or
6
there's
o'clock.
something we can sound. Yep.
They see if Pep comes in. I heard something.
Bit of a lag. But there is sound.
Item will call the meeting to order. Lori, we'll leave the attendance on your desk. Public comments, Jen? Nope, no public comments. I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes of April 17th.
Move to approve the minutes of April 17th as presented.
I second.
Rosa second, Scott first, Rosa seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Project update status, Ryan.
Alrighty, so pool has been drained and pressure washed. Check valves need to be installed this week, and then we will be ready for water. Our plan is to start filling Friday, with it being completely full by Monday. We're having a chlorine dump to kill the residual organic material on Tuesday, and then the water should be ready to go by the weekend. So I will be in the water Memorial Day weekend getting the new guards ready for the lifeguard class. It's something I try and do every single year, and it's an opportunity for them to practice without being evaluated in a lifeguarding course. Small tank transfer motor and impeller have been installed. Everything fired up in working order. The small tank recirculation motor and pump. It's a Bell & Gossett motor and pump complete assembly. I've had 3 people looking for this specific pump and motor. Nobody's got it in stock. It's about a 16-week lead time for them to build and deliver that motor. It was ordered as of this morning, so hopefully we'll obviously have it by the end of the pool season or after the pool closes, but the one plus side with it is the motor and pump that it's replacing is the better of the two. So we should be good to get through the season. Both pumps and motors installed will be just around $11,000. So we've had $15,000 budgeted. It's obviously a significant savings doing the installation in-house. When we did the big tank in 2020, the cost was just over $20,000. So Lions Park, that mulch is being completed right now, should be done tomorrow. They fell a little bit behind with the rain this weekend, and it was too soft to get equipment in over the weekend. 2023 season lifeguards have been hired. Training will start May 30th and end June 2nd. It's a pretty tight window. They get out of school on May 30th, so as soon as they're done, they're getting in the water, and everybody's on board with it. And then our goal is to have everybody completed before the Milk Days festival starts. Men's Soccer League, they started up. We had some minor issues come about over the weekend, or 2 weekends ago. I talked with the league and Tyson about it, and we have a pretty good game plan going forward. It was more just, little things like people speeding through the park and some trash. Pool pass sales are live, and program registrations are live and active. The numbers haven't been great, and I can give full numbers and details in my report, or it's in my report as well.
Okay, any questions for Ryan?
Just out of curiosity, that time-lapse video of cleaning the pressure washer, how long did that encompass?
8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. And
So
then-
about 6.5 hours.
And then the next day from 9 a.m. until like 1-ish.
About 10.5 hours worth. Okay, just curious. Look cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's satisfying.
Any other questions? All right, Rebuild Illinois Grant.
So Deb reached out to Katie McCarthy with the state today. We have been informed that the scope is in review for them, so it's still in review.
Hurry up and wait.
Yep.
All right, former community garden then.
So the survey results that we did, or the survey that we did, the results are in your handouts that you have as well. And then it's redacted, but I have if you want to see the full version, I can get that to you. And the redacted information is on the Google Drive as well. It was just name, phone numbers, and addresses, so.
So these are all the people that are interested?
We didn't have the survey set up as if they would be, it was set up to gauge the public perception on it.
Okay,
I can't say for certain that every single one of these people would do it, but, and that wasn't the direction that we went with the survey. It was more to gauge community interest.
okay.
My comments to the committee is, if you're planning on letting someone use these, it's time to plant.
Not gonna be able to do it this year.
Yeah, otherwise I don't see it happening this year.
Yeah, I think we even talked about it would be next year.
Yeah, and I wanted to circle back real quick with the tilling throughout the summer of that area. You run a couple of risks of tilling it throughout the summer, is wind erosion and water erosion. Obviously, if there's no root structure in the ground, then you're just gonna have, that organic material erode away. And if we wait until spring to rototill it and not touch it this summer, all of that organic material that gets rototilled into the ground breaks down into nitrogen, and then the nitrogen helps, obviously, those vegetables grow. I think it would be in the best interest of the people using it next year to not rototill it throughout the summer, but, we'll do whatever this board wants us to do.
I see no reason to rototill it if it's not going to be utilized this summer. That would be kind of a wasted effort.
Yeah, there was a recommendation at last month's park board meeting that we rototill it multiple times throughout the summer.
That's true.
Well, I would just look and see what farmers do. When farmers don't rototill the fields they're not using.
No, they just let it rest.
They just let it
Yeah.
rest. So I think we should take our lead from them.
I would agree.
Do we need a motion on that, or just leave it as it is?
there-
Board's recommendation is to let it rest?
Yeah, there was no formal motion made at the last meeting, so.
Okay. Sounds good. Any more questions about the former community garden? All right. IGA with CUSD 50?
Scheduled for the 19th.
Who is in that meeting?
It'll be Corey.
Okay.
They're, not Barry.
Okay.
And then Ryan, myself, and the mayor.
Where is it?
Believe it's gonna be there.
Okay.
That's at 9 a.m., right?
It's not showing up on my calendar.
I think we have it set for 9. That's what I have in my calendar.
And you have all the participants listed there? Sean?
Sean's gonna be.
That sounds
Oh, yeah, Sean, that makes sense. All right. Any questions? All right, moving to park fee and facility usage agreement, discussion requested by city administrator.
Yeah, and so, I know in the past, there was discussion to drop the fees.
They were dropped.
Well, I'm asking that, the committee reinstitute those fees. And if you look, there's also a fee waiver request form that was attached. That gives you some guidelines as far as who would be eligible to waive the fees on and so on. It's good to have it on the books, even if you're gonna waive the fees.
Where would Milk Days fall on this count, on this?
What's that?
Are they, Milk Days is not a not-for-profit, they are a for-profit.
No, this is eligible for waivers and ineligible. Oh, they're for-profit. I see
I
what you
believe.
mean.
Actually, they're a 501,
C4,
yeah, C4.
so they are a not-for-profit.
They're not-for-profit, but they're not a tax-deductible not-for-profit. Although they are considering filing for 501c3 status.
You gotta have some lawyer volunteers that could do that for them. Come on. Okay,
Keep in mind, these are like general guidelines,
yep,
so you can still waive fees or not waive them. But this at least gives the committee some parameters.
so I think the big discussion point here is that, Mike, you were on the board when these were instituted originally, the fees were instituted? Is that
I was.
correct? Okay. And then,
Well, actually, yeah, yes, I was on the board and it was a gradual institution. It took at least 3 years, I think, before the fees actually ended up being where they should be. So it was like a percentage, and so they worked out that deal back then.
Right.
And then, you know, those that were utilizing the parks, were paying, all the sports leagues were paying those fees. Obviously, when the board decided to remove those fees, they were happy about that, but, I think I didn't hear a whole lot of complaints come to my office about paying those fees.
They were moved in, fall of last year.
It was May City Council meeting, May 24th is when the ordinance was amended.
So essentially a year ago.
So do we need to send, well, I guess we need to have a discussion. I guess we need to get everyone's opinion on,
So can I just add a couple things?
Yeah.
Just so everybody's brought up to speed with this. So, with the fee structure, how it's laid out in our ordinance, it's this page right here. We had it broken down per game. And so, but everything else in that ordinance was per hour. So I changed the lighted field per hour and the non-lighted field to per hour. And that made a lot more sense because if you have, let's say you have an organization or just somebody who wants to rent it, what's to say that they can't play a 27-inning baseball game? And then they're only paying that one. So by just making it uniform, everything's per hour. And then in the facility usage agreement on the second page, section 8.3 is, there's stipulations for business hours and non-business hours. Just on the off chance that we, in the future, have to modify these fees for staff to be there during business hours or after business hours. Because that payroll changes with that.
Yeah.
As well.
I have a question for the administrator on that. If someone is called in to turn on the lights, are they receiving a minimum
Yeah.
time?
So,
Based on the new,
So what I'm asking here is, are we recouping the cost to the city to have someone come in and do that?
no, what it would be is if it's an outside organization that wants to rent it after business hours, we would have specific keys set for the light poles. They would pay a deposit for that specific key, whatever our cost would be to replace that lock if it's not returned. And then they would have 24 hours after their scheduled time to return that key back to the city.
So they would have to come to your office to pick up the key during working hours?
Correct.
And then they take care of turning the lights on and off.
Yep. And then that way, if the lights aren't off or don't shut off, I mean, somebody's gonna notice that, I would hope.
And so then, do they have to then return the key back to you?
Correct, within 24 hours in order to get their deposit back. That's that was one of the ideas that we had in order to eliminate that man hours.
Perfect. That was my biggest concern.
Yeah.
Is, we're if it's a union employee, we're contracted to pay them. They come in and get paid a minimum number of hours, and it takes them 10 minutes to turn the lights on.
Yep.
So,
And so that's something that's not listed in this facility usage agreement because it wasn't something that was set in stone. We can always add it in. But that was one of the recommendations that I had for that.
Two thoughts. I think it ought to be added into the agreement, so it's in writing. And I also wonder, is 24 hours enough time? Could we make it 48 hours?
Whatever.
I've just, especially if they got a game on Saturday evening, theoretically 24 hours means they got to return it on Sunday when you're not going to be there anyway.
We can make that
Well, they
speculation.
can put it in the Dropbox.
Dropbox. The other reason that I suggested 24 hours is let's say you have one organization Saturday night and one organization on Sunday night.
Okay.
Or Thursday, Friday,
Yep, okay.
and then we don't have multiple keys out at once.
Good point.
So
So Lou, I'd ask for clarification. So the board last year, this board and the Alderman decided that we wanted to eliminate this. One of the larger reasons was the paperwork involved. Ryan, a lot of these volunteer organizations, it's very hard to get payment from them. It's very hard to get schedules from them. And we're looking to eliminate the need to do that. That's not what we want Ryan concentrating on. We'd rather him, so I'm trying to understand why are we, I think we need to discuss why we want this. Why are you wanting this?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, sorry.
Yeah.
As you all are familiar with, and we'll just rip that open now. The school is debating on Wednesday night to charge the city fees. And I think part of that's pushing that is the fact that we as a city decided not to charge fees. And we've shown no interest in it. Well, what's happening is the school is going forward with charging us. I think that, it may sound petty or whatnot, but I think if we had left this in there, there'd be less inclination to charge another taxing agency. One of the things I plan on bringing up with the school on Wednesday is the fact that right now, if we had left the charges in place, the school would charge us of about $1,940 for the year, and we would have charged them $4,500. It's like $4,480.
So that's for you're comparing the basketball program to the,
And that's not including them using the pool during gym season, after hours. So we do eat quite a bit, and I
Right.
think by having this in, it's on that end alone, it's a safeguard, as well as having it in place. It allows this board allows the council to charge if it needs to charge, because for whatever reasons, if a group is right on that fence. But if you eliminate those charges, then there's no, and now, the other thing, sorry, I was kind of muttering through that, but the other part to it is keep in mind that right now we have a tax out there to generate revenue for the park board, or for the parks. Having those revenue streams in place reduces the need on that percentage. Even with it, let's say you recoup $5,000. That means in the next year, assuming that you're going to get that another $5,000, you're going to be able to do at least $5,000 more worth of work instead of having to just piecemeal through it.
Ryan, do you have the ordinance in front of you?
I don't.
Okay, I'm curious because I'm pretty sure when we changed the ordinance last year, we allowed for external, like an external group coming into the community.
Right.
That wanted to use a park. There wasn't a waiver. It was, here's what the charge would be. The idea of eliminating the fees, which we never charged District 50, they've used the softball fields at JC's forever, no charge, right? And in exchange, like we do the basketball at the junior high, no charge. But the reason why we wanted to get rid of those fees last year was because of you've got these volunteers that were HERS, Harvard, the Boys League, whatever it might be. These are volunteers to the community that we're giving, adding extra red tape to them, and they're enhancing our community, just like Milk Days enhances our community. I would argue the net value of having Milk Days outweighs the value of not having Milk Days in this community. I mean, from a taxing perspective, people coming in and buying alcohol, whatever food, whatever it is, they're coming here, and that's revenue coming into the community. So my only concern, my biggest concern with this, if it was reinstituted, is that the waiver form be one that is, once we've waived the fees for that group, it's either a permanent waiver or it's like a 5-year waiver, and then we reevaluate after 5 years. That it's not something that Ryan would have to do every year. Every year he's going to have to get with HERS, and every year he's going to have to get with whatever organization to get the form again.
And that's something that you can advise on this, and I would actually say a 3-year, because if we have to change policies, then because one of the things Ryan and I were talking about earlier briefly was that when they come in, they have to. It's an opportunity for Ryan to get them caught up to whatever the policies or reminders about picking up trash and so on. If you just simply waive it, man, I'm more, and maybe it's just my belief that it's a minor inconvenience to come in and fill out the waiver, but I would suggest if you're going to waive it for a period, waive it for up to 3 years.
So one of the things that I recommended was doing something like a sunset clause. So you can do, let's say, a 3-year agreement with a sunset as if you have a league changes president. I've built a rapport with all of the presidents to where I can just reach out to them, text them, call them, whenever, and I don't need to have an annual meeting with them because I meet with them, numerous times throughout the season. To where a new president coming in, we might need to be acquainted a little bit more, or change contact information, and then with that agreement in place, or facility usage agreement, then I can bring them up to speed on everything that's going in it as well.
And I thought about that after you mentioned that, and the only reason I would disagree with that is that it could be a long time until there's a change.
Well, you could have it set to where it's 3 years, unless unless a board president changes.
Whichever comes first.
Yes.
Whichever, and with that, I think you're covered.
Lou, just to clarify, maybe I misheard. As things stand right now, you gave some numbers of what the school district charges us and what we charge them. What were those numbers again?
It was, the school would be charging us $1,940.
Okay.
And we, in turn, if we had the fees, would be charging them $4,400, and it's like $80, $90.
So we'd be charging them
More.
more than twice what they're
Right.
charging us.
Right.
Okay.
And then part of that is when you waive the fees, then
Yeah.
it's opposite. We would be paying $2,000,
Yeah.
$1,940. We would be collecting nothing.
Okay.
And then that in turn eats into projects that the Parks Department would be doing.
Right.
Because you now have to account for another $2,000 in spending.
And doesn't the school district,
In general, for the programs that they are providing that is using the park facilities, don't they collect fees from the students for most of those?
Collect athletic fees.
Athletic fees, yeah.
That's,
Okay, so
that, that's for their jersey. It's very similar to the same fee that we charge for eighth grade basketball, right?
Okay.
You got to pay for your jerseys, you're paying for the umpires. Now, it's the same idea.
So with the basketball, for example, we charge $125 for a resident to play basketball. It wouldn't, if we had to pay the $2,000, it wouldn't be $2,000 out of the park's budget, because you're just going to add that cost onto the participant. So
Yeah.
based off of that fee structure, I would have to increase basketball cost by $40 per kid just to offer the same exact thing.
Okay.
So now you're at $165 for a resident.
And then you're gonna have fewer kids sign up, because it's gonna hit some tipping point there where
Yeah.
people say, no, we can't afford
I mean,
this.
it's definitely, not out of the realm of possibilities that we're gonna lose kids, for
Yeah.
sure.
And we've already lost 2 programs for the summer.
Correct.
And part of that was because we were told to hold off on any registrations until they decide on whether or not to charge. And we've tried multiple times to try to work this out, but it's come out to,
Well, I think
Nothing.
it's important, though, that, let's understand the state of everything beforehand. So again, in this community, Ryan, the eighth grade basketball program's been going on longer than you have been park board director.
Yeah, it's
correct? Or park-
5th through 8th, yeah.
That program has existed, and girls softball exists, and those are the 2 main examples that I can think of. They've existed forever, and we've never charged anyone, neither the school district nor the city has charged each other for that. And I'm going to speak as a taxpayer in this community. I don't want either organization charging each other. I want you guys to work together, because to me, it's foolish. To me, I'm paying taxes.
Mhm.
And it's all one big lump to me. It's gone, how you divvy it out, you divvy it out. But it's been paid, and you guys swapping money back and forth doesn't make sense. But
I-
that's between, because that's been the standard. That's what we've done to this point.
but we're not the ones that have changed that standard.
Well, but I know, but one of the things that, and I'll take partial blame for this, last year we accepted the challenge to have an IGA done. And if, for whatever reason, the IGA was completed, but we never finished that meeting with Corey. And really, that IGA should have covered this type of thing. It should have dealt with this before we ever got to this point.
No, I agree.
So, yeah. But that's not on you, that's on Dave, Ryan, and me, because we never.
Well, and keep in mind, and in my research, and this is, normally, when a school or a city charges each other, you're talking one taxing agency charging another one.
Yeah.
It's usually when the facilities are offset badly, like the city doesn't have, it has a park and that's about it. But the school is providing, the track, the softball, the baseball, the football, and all that. So when it's an imbalance, yeah, it's more of a burden on that agency. So it's acceptable to charge the city. In this case, it's actually the other way around. And I'm worried that they're using the wrong example. Usually, if you're about balanced, you don't charge. And even though it's been offset where we actually provide more of the facilities, we've not charged. And that's the other reason with going back to the fee waiver, is to allow that in there, to just waive it. But at least you have a safeguard in there in case it's absurd. And I'm sorry, I'm speaking a little more unprofessional on that, but
Well, no,
I've never, this is the only place I've come across where anybody, a school or anybody has actually thought about charging another taxing agency. Because that's the scenario that ends up happening. We charge, they charge, we charge. They raise their charges, we've got to raise our charges. And next thing you know, it's the taxpayer themselves that are getting beat up. That's why it's almost a cardinal rule. Taxing agencies do not charge each other. In the end, it's the same pool that we're getting the taxes from.
So I guess I'll ask the board, what do you want to do?
Well, is the school district currently charging us for the use of their facilities?
Not yet.
It's on their council, or their board meeting for Wednesday night. And they've had discussions where, we have not been invited to talk about this. And as I mentioned before, we had 2 programs that were already in the works that we were instructed to not accept registrations because, they were working through their fee structure.
Instructed by who?
We were instructed by TFOIA,
By the school district?
Yep.
Okay.
not to do that.
Well, even if I understand
Well,
correctly.
and Barry too, I believe.
Yeah, so, quick recap. It was, I believe, beginning of April, I received a phone call from Barry, which is the athletic director, letting us know that the facilities, excuse me, our facility requests are suspended until further notice. And I said, okay, is there a reason? He goes, the board is looking into a fee structure and facility usage agreement for all organizations. And his concern was what would happen with the school district utilizing city facilities. And I said, as of right now, nothing will change. I said, continue to do whatever you would like to do. And it stayed that way until about 2 weeks ago. Barry reached out to me asking if they could utilize the Hearst softball field for their summer day camp. And I talked with Lou about it, and since our facility requests were suspended until they evaluated their fee structure and facility usage agreement, that we would do the same. And then about a week later, I received asking about it again from a different person. And I said, no, you need to talk to Corey and Barry. Your facility usage are suspended until we evaluate this. It goes to park board on this date and city council on this date. And then 2 days later, I get another text message from somebody asking about the same exact thing. So there's a miscommunication somewhere within there, that they're not communicating back and forth between either the board office or the athletic department itself. And that's kind of where this all stemmed from. Then to add on to that, the softball summer camp went live after they were told that the facility usage agreement was suspended. That went live, listed Lions Park as the location.
Just to give some background, my understanding is that the new school board, which was elected, because the school is investing in updating their athletic fields, which is a major investment, that the new school board was looking at creating this fee structure because there are a lot of entities, not just the city, but a lot of entities that utilize school property and athletic facilities and fields to conduct whatever athletics they're doing. And as a consequence, with the cost of the new investment into turf, the board was seeking to recoup some of that cost by charging those entities that are using the fields. And the city has been lumped into that group. I do not know if the school board has an intention of carving out the city, but our expectations, based on the conversations that have been had, is that they are not. Of course, no decisions have been made, but as a consequence, the city administrator is recommending to provide yourselves with latitude to charge fees if you need to, or by instituting this and waiving them as appropriate.
Well, and that's,
Thank you for that summary.
going along with that, if I understand this correctly, please feel free to correct me. If we approve these fees and this,
Waiver.
usage and waiver and all that, if Wednesday night's meeting goes cooperatively, shall we say, we could waive the school district.
And in fact, I believe the recommendation and guidelines are to do so for school activities.
If you look under the fee waiver,
So the eligible fee waivers are
School
for
activities, yep.
school
I see it.
activities, government tax district agencies that receive tax funding. In other words, it's really.
They would be
They would be.
eligible, but it's not guaranteed.
It would still require, based on the way this is currently presented, it would require them to fill out the waiver, but it would certainly be almost a rubber stamp. My
Yeah.
guess would be, if the committees would so choose, is to provide that waiver.
Who makes that decision, if the waiver's accepted or?
Well, I think at this juncture, it would go to the city council because
Every time?
it would have to go to city council because it is a city ordinance to pay those fees. So city council has the authority to waive those fees. This board does not.
So there would be a time frame when they have to apply, sign up and say, hey, we want to use the park.
They'd have to
They
apply
have to apply.
a month ahead of time.
Yeah, at least a month ahead of
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
Which is-
Typically, though, you would handle, like, all the activities for a school year in one.
Right.
Yes,
Bill,
yes.
We're
Right.
doing,
You basically, they could fill out a waiver for.
Yeah.
But, in fact, this allows you for multiple dates and events, but it's, that would be the process should this be reenacted.
Okay.
And of course, this body doesn't actually make that decision. You would make a decision to proceed, refer to city council, either, recommending or not. But obviously, city council overall would make final decisions. This, by instituting them, it does give you the latitude and the city latitude on who they would charge and who they wouldn't. At the moment, the city council is handcuffed, they have no latitude because they can't charge.
Based on that, I would recommend that we recommend to city council approval of these fees and the waiver, with the one correction to the request form that it be valid for 3 years or change of leadership, president, whatever you want to call it, for the organization, whichever comes first.
and then the key.
And the bit about the key for the lights, yeah. I guess that's my motion.
I second.
The 24-hour key, right? Return?
Yeah, 24-hour, so key deposit with the 24 hours.
Right.
I'm just making my little chicken scratch to make those changes. I apologize.
Or first business day, how about that? Because if
it's
they
a
do it on a
weekend.
Next
Friday,
business day.
yeah.
Yeah.
It could be Monday, if it's a holiday, it could be Tuesday.
Which makes sense, because over the weekend or the holidays.
we don't have, the only thing we have lights for Moose Field and Hearst softball, right?
At the moment.
At the moment, yeah, right. We got a plan? We got a grant?
I don't know what the future holds. I'm just saying at the moment, that's all we have.
All right, any other discussion?
Easier to make the ordinance so that you don't have to keep changing it.
No,
when
no,
something
right,
Changes,
right.
yeah.
It does, it's not specific to a location. I
Right.
agree with that. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So that'll go in front of city council then on Tuesday.
Week from tomorrow.
A week from tomorrow, yes.
Yeah.
And hopefully by that time, we'll have some more information, or the city council will have some more information from the school board.
Right. Well, in my opinion, the IGA trumps all of this. You have to have an IGA. We've been working on, I know the library now has an IGA with the city.
No.
We should have an IGA with the school district.
And IGA fixes
Fixes everything.
everything
Right.
in relation to the school
Right.
district, yes.
I agree.
So that's the whole point of having one, is you come to an agreement
Yeah.
and then put it in writing and everybody gets gets what they need.
Goes about their way.
Plus with the IGA, you can actually extend it out for 5 years or 10-year time.
Whatever
frames.
you want to do.
Yeah.
All right, number 9, dog park. Okay,
Number 8. Well, I'm
No,
sorry.
number 9.
Number 9.
I'm guessing you want to close the dog park.
Well, we've gotten a request to close the dog park during milk days, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, with Milk Days weekend, Milk Days has the entire park reserved, so it would be closed regardless. I already have a post scheduled for May 26th and May 31st, letting people know that the dog park will be closed. All we're gonna do is we're just gonna chain lock the gates.
And didn't we talk about one of the reasons why you put the double gate in there was so that they can get their tractors in there, because that's where they usually display them.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And then, just with that as well, the men's soccer league is utilizing that north side as well for parking, or for their soccer fields. They've already been instructed that they need to have their goals moved out of that area by Memorial Day.
I would suggest, I know you want to lock the gates, but if Milk Days is going to utilize that area as a tractor display, people will want to get inside to see them. Perhaps you lock them open and just state that the park is closed to dogs.
You can do that.
Good point.
Sounds good. Any other questions? Vandalism report.
Nothing to report.
Yay!
What?
Good one. Mayor's report.
Yes, if you've been paying attention, I have kind of been advertising social media about hosting a open forum on Thursday, so May 18th, this Thursday at 6:30 right here. I have invited and received confirmation from a wide swath of panel participants to sit on this panel with me to have this discussion. And essentially, it will be a presentation about what we're going to discuss and then an open discussion. I don't anticipate any actions will come out of this meeting. It really is just to bring everybody together to talk about it, because in the entire time that I've lived here, it's been talked about in various circles, even the city council, who at the time decided not to tackle this issue. And I feel it's time for us to come together and talk about it to see if the community is ready to tackle this issue. So I know Jay cannot make it because he has a conflict. So I would ask that one.
I'm planning to be here, whether it's for this organization or the foundation.
So I asked Laura to represent the foundation, so, perhaps you or Rosa would care to come for the Parks Board.
I also have a conflict.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'll come.
I will stream
All right,
it though
John.
and watch it as
All
for a
right.
minute. I'm
Thanks, John.
sorry.
So if you both can, because that would give more input. And so there's going to be about 20-some people, I think, on the panel. We are calling it a city council meeting and a Parks Board meeting, just simply because if more of you get together, we don't want to violate OMA, but the quorum does not need to be here because we're not taking any action. And so we alleviate, we ensure that we're in compliance with OMA and still be able to host this. So that is my main thing. I'm looking forward to this to see and get some real feedback from across stakeholders in the community, which will include the city, not-for-profits, and business owners, or businesses, I should say, here in the community. So that's all I have to report.
I just wanted to point out, especially to our listeners out there, watchers, keep in mind that it's just like anything, like if you're planning for a vacation, you plan out months or weeks, if not months ahead. Think about the city and how it takes a long time to get some things done or to plan things out. And you're talking a project that could be, well, it will be in the millions if we were to do this. So that's why you need to plan this out years in advance. There's no guarantee that this will be done, but it's, as the mayor pointed out, we're just trying to have that conversation so we can make better plans and a goal. And again, it does not have to be done, but at least we would have that impact, that input, and be able to plan accordingly.
You mean this won't be built by Milk Day weekend?
Well, I asked Ryan to get going on it, but no, just kidding. But that, I just wanted to, speaking on behalf of administration, I just wanted to point that out, because there's been some misunderstandings already, and I just wanted to at least hear it from well, my mouth. I was gonna put a certain word in there too. But.
Any questions for the mayor? Superintendent Knope. Mr. Knope.
Ready. I think we covered a good portion of my report. It was a long one this month, though. So we touched on the pumps, touched on the pool, new guards we've touched on. We got some new activities that will be available at the pool this year. We're having an adult lap swim, so those will be directly after our water aerobics on Tuesdays and Fridays. We also added a Saturday session for those working during the week. Hopefully, we see a good turnout.
Ryan, can we push that on social media? I know there was some comments at some point in one of the groups, people asking about it, why can't we have an adult swim or something like that? And
Yeah, I think I have another post scheduled, I think
Okay.
on Wednesday.
Okay.
I'll take a look.
Thanks.
It's nice. I just schedule everything out for like the next 3 weeks because I can't be in my office all that much right now. Free pool days have been published. We're having one free pool day a month. We've already talked about the mulch. We talked about the community garden. Talked about the men's soccer league. So for our summer programs, we're continually pushing out those programs as well. Right now, as of Friday, we had 1 registered for the CPR class, 4 registered for water aerobics, 0 registered for Dash and Splash, and 0 registered for the summer fitness boot camp. The summer basketball and open gym were canceled like we talked about. I'm working on some additional activities for the late summer, early fall. Pool prep has been taken top priority, so I'll shift my focus back on those as soon as we get that up and running. As you've seen, we've been active on Facebook as well. In the past 28 days, we've reached about 7,500 people, almost 3,000 engagements, 14 new likes, and 25 new page followers. Like I said, we have a bunch of stuff scheduled as well. And then the last part of that is, as you can tell, there's been a lot of moving parts, and I can't do this alone. I got a kick-ass guard up at the pool that's helping me really get this up and running. His name's Emmanuel, and he goes by Emo, and he's been knocking it out up there. I can just give him a task, and he's able to accomplish it. So I just wanted to give him a shout out on that. So.
I didn't realize he was working for you,
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
And then I had one last thing. So tomorrow, May 16th, is Family Fun Night at Crosby from 5:30 to 7. So the Parks Department was asked to have a table set up with like our programs and pool stuff for what's happening this summer. I'm unavailable tomorrow night because we have Parks Foundation meeting, but Emo is actually going to go in my place. We're not going to be doing registrations or collecting payments up there, but the information will be available for everybody. So, tomorrow night, 5:30 to 7.
Have you, no swim lessons, is that the,
I'm still working on it.
okay.
I think at minimum I can do a couple privates. We're still trying to work out some details.
Okay, I know there's still questions
I know.
about that, so I didn't know what we normally have done for lessons in the past isn't going to work. I realize that, so. maybe update the board on the thoughts of what's going on there, so.
Yeah, so the lady that does our water aerobics class, she works for the Y in Rockford. She's a Harvard resident. And with her position at the Y, it allows her some flexibility and availability. She's also a certified swim instructor,
Awesome.
as well as a lifeguard. So I had a conversation with her about teaching some private lessons this summer, having a set schedule available for lessons. She's receptive to doing it. She's just trying to figure out how to work it around her schedule as well. There is some other swim instructors that she knows from the Y that have similar availability to her, so she is in contact with those people as well. I need to circle back with her to try and get actual hard dates that we could possibly run this. It's just been a little busy. So, but I'll circle back with her this week.
Ryan, can you tell us about the men's soccer league? Because that's something that came up here just within the past 3 weeks.
Yeah, so we had a men's soccer league two gentlemen came to talk to me, wanting to start a men's soccer league. This was the first organization that has come to me wanting to start a league that actually had all their ducks in a row, which was really, really nice. You know, they had their 501c3 already. They had their certificate of liability insurance. The only thing they had to do with that was just list the city as an additional insured. They have 24 teams, primarily all Harvard residents.
To be clear, 19 of the 24 teams are completely Harvard residents. And the teams are between 13 and up to 25 members with an average of 16 per team.
That's a lot of soccer players.
Yes. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And so I did speak to one of the organizers, and kudos for him to putting it together and putting it here in Harvard. It certainly demonstrates very clearly that there's a need here for men's soccer. So
Yeah, they hit the ground running with it. They had a very short window to get all their other ducks in a row. It's a brand new organization, so they didn't have anything, and we were able to work out an agreement between the Harvard Junior Hornets soccer organization to allow them to utilize their equipment until they're able to afford their own.
What is the age difference, the age span, 13 to 20?
No, they have 13 to
A team?
24 participants per team. What's the age? Is this like 21 and older or 18 and older?
I think there's some 16, 17
I think
year
it's
olds.
16 is the youngest, I think.
Yeah. And, I've really tried to help this organization get going, and,
He told me there's some, even 40-plus-year-olds that are playing. I mean, it's and they're expecting to be very competitive, so.
Yeah, we had a meeting here one night. I came in and allowed them to have or host their beginning of the year meeting. And every single person, or it was all the head coaches for the most part that were here. And they want this to be successful, and they understand that we have to set certain parameters in order for it to be successful. Obviously, litter and alcohol are two major concerns that we didn't even have to bring up. They brought them up. So how, I said that you can have alcohol, there's just the proper channels to go through. And they thought it would be best to not have any alcohol. And I said, if you have an issue with it, I said, try and deal with it yourself, but call the non-emergency line and have an officer dispatched out there and allow them to handle it. And there was an issue, I think, the first weekend with outside patrons coming in to watch soccer, and they did have some alcohol with them. And they were asked to leave, and they did. There was some complaints from a couple of the surrounding residents about excessive speed through the park and littering.
I talked to her the other day.
Yeah, and she was actually the nicer one that I talked to.
Well, good.
But it's something that obviously we've addressed it with the league, and hopefully that was rectified over this past week, and I haven't heard anything. So hopefully no news is good news. And the same thing with the alcohol is I haven't heard anything from this past weekend. So
I talked to her last Thursday
Mhm.
when she mentioned it, so.
Okay, so they're gonna buy their own goals at some point then?
Yeah, the agreement that they have set in place, and I keep reminding them, it's not when you want to afford them, it's when you can afford them. And they're hoping within the next couple of weeks, they'll have enough capital in order to purchase their own. And
They're not inexpensive.
No, Ryan told me how much they're, like $4,000 just for one goal,
for the set,
for a set, okay, for a set. Do we have any out there, do we have any sets out there, and what are the conditions?
the city does not own any of the soccer goals at Milky Way Park.
Okay. Is there necessity to possibly consider Northfield as a location at some point? Since that space is open and it's wide enough for a soccer location.
Yeah, that was one
Field.
of the places that was talked about, and actually the league asked about that location as well, not knowing the field usage. And I showed them an aerial map of it, and they didn't feel it was conducive for them to play soccer just because of how close it is to a residential
Yeah.
area. And they were concerned that the street parking with the number of people that they're gonna have out there as well.
Because they're going to be running games all Sunday, right?
Yep, every Sunday, I think they're scheduled 9 to 7, 8 to 7, something like that. Two fields running all day Sunday.
And they know about milk days?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they cannot have it Milk Days weekend. They're good with that. They know they have to move that north goal up along the property line, or up around the edge of the property. And then as soon as Milk Days is over, I think I told them they can put it back Thursday after Milk Days. Just to give them time to, all the carnival rides and everybody else out of there.
Yeah.
Give Sheila time to clean up all the parking stuff as well. So, and they were perfectly content with that.
All right, any questions for Ryan? Seeing none, Parks Foundation?
Not a whole lot to report this month. We've been pretty quiet. However, I will invite everybody out tomorrow, 5:30 Milky Way. We are doing our official dedication of the dog park. And that's all I've got.
Any new business? Yes.
Not really a new business, but I caught something I forgot to mention before. Another, as we're talking about potentially way down the road of a community rec center. I just want, again, for our viewers and the people who are listening, the 1% sales tax is for roads and sidewalks, not for this community's rec center. I just want to make that clear,
By ordinance.
by ordinance and resolution.
And state law.
And state law.
Right.
And the only thing it could ever be changed to would be to include like infrastructure for water, sewers and stuff like that.
Infrastructure, it cannot be.
Right, correct.
A rec
correct.
center is not infrastructure.
That's correct, yeah.
So I just want to make that clear out there.
All right, next meeting, June 19th, I will not be here. I will be in Vegas, sorry. So, is June 12th, okay with everyone for the meeting? All right, so we will move it to June 12th. We get a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Scott? Second?
Second.
Rosa? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, done.